On headline news, the Nigerian army has promised that the commitment of the Nigerian army to the defense of Nigeria's territories as a nation is certain. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai said the military is working tirelessly to overcome the challenges of insecurity. He said efforts remain high to eliminate insurgents in the northeast. General Buratai challenged officers and men of the Nigerian army to be loyal to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Chief of Army Staff also advised officers to defend the Constitution. The Federal Capital Territory High Court has adjourned till May 3rd the commencement of Dasuki's trial. This is following a directive by the presiding judge Hussein Baba Yusuf that the prosecution gives full access to the counsel to Dasuki during business hours to enable them take instructions and prepare the client for the trial. Dasuki is facing a 4-count charge of money laundering and illegal possession of firearms brought against him by the Department of State Services, DSS. He's also facing multiple counts of laundering money at the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja. The two judges of the Federal Capital Territory High Court has dismissed his application to stop his trial. The Code of Conduct Tribunal has adjourned the trial of Senate President Bukola Saraki to April 18 after the generator supplying power to the tribunal went off. With no public power supply, the prosecution and defense counsel pushed for an adjournment, which was granted by the CCT chairman, Justice Danladi Umar. About 30 senators, only one-third of the crowd, were present at the Code of Conduct Tribunal in support of the Senate President, Bukola Saraki. After both sides argued on point of law, the Code of Conduct Tribunal chairman, Justice Danladi Umar, adjourned the trial to Monday, April 18. The Senate President, Bukola Saraki, two-term former governor of Kwara State, is facing trial over an alleged misrepresentation of assets before the Code of Conduct Bureau. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project Serap has called on the federal government to find a permanent solution to the fuel scarcity crisis in Nigeria. The group's executive director, Adetokunbo Mumuni, said a lasting scarcity of fuel across the country has denied Nigerians of economic opportunities. He described fuel scarcity in Nigeria, one of Africa's leading crude oil producers, as shameful.
By natural making, Nigeria or Nigerians, because of the endowments of nature to us, we should have no problem. How can the 6th or 7th largest producer of oil in the world be having this perennial problem? It has been like this for quite some time. Problems, once they exist, are meant to be solved. The idea that we've been at it almost forever should not be a convincing argument. The government of the day must take the bull by the horn and solve this problem permanently in the interest of the overwhelming suffering majority of Nigerians.
He said the fuel scarcity across the country is not in agreement with Nigeria's human rights commitment. He advised the federal government to end the scarcity immediately in the interest of the Nigerian masses.
When you go through pain, when you agonize to get such basic things as fuel to run your domestic life, fuel for public transportation, fuel to power your generator, that is agonizing. And to me, the reason for any government is the comfort and happiness of the people. So when I see Nigerians agonizing because of the problem created by this fuel scarcity, I feel pained, I bleed within, and to me, it is unjustifiable.
What you'll find is become intellectual. It's no longer.
Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku, has promised that henceforth petroleum product will be available in Lagos and Abuja. And on to the foreign scene. The European Union has launched a drive to fix the EU's asylum rules to more fairly share responsibility for a first-time arrival of migrants, despite resistance within the 28-nation bloc. The European Commission, the EU executive, unveiled options to reform the rules 2 days after Greece began to expel migrants to Turkey under a controversial deal between Brussels and Ankara. The returns have since been stalled. Migrants seeking asylum must lodge their application in the country where they first arrived and should be returned there if they move on someplace else. And that's headline news.